everyone, welcome to another reading vlog. I need to figure out something to do at the beginning of all my vlogs that's like how I start it. It just doesn't feel right every time to just say, hello, welcome back to the vlog. I need something that signifies the start of a vlog. I don't know what it is yet. Let me know if you have any suggestions. But to start us off this week, I will let you know what I'm currently reading. So right now I am listening to the audiobook of Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is a book about superheroes and villains, and we follow two main characters. One of them is kind of a villain, and the other one is the son of the two most famous superheroes, and they have a rivalry, and it's great. I'm really liking it so far. I'm like halfway into it. I like it so much better than the Lunar Chronicles so far. I liked the Lunar Chronicles, but it was never anything that I was super excited about. But this, I am loving. It's so good so far. It really reminds me of like Marvel meets Sky High, which Sky High was like one of my favorite movies when I was younger. So it's just like, it's great. You guys can hear me because I have my AC completely blasting because it is so hot right now. It is 104 degrees. The whole interior of my car is black, so I'm waiting for my steering wheel to cool down because it is super hot. But yeah, I'm book shopping right now. I went to Half Price Books and Barnes & Noble, and I didn't find anything that I wanted to buy. I have a budget of $20 that I'm allowed to spend today on books, so I've been very picky. So right now, I am gonna go to another Half Price Books because there's another one like 6 minutes away from here. So I'm gonna go over there and see what they have. I don't think I've ever been to this Half Price Books. I'm excited to see if it's nice. Also, did I strategically park so you could see Barnes & Noble in the background? No, but I'm just that much of a professional vlogger. This happened on accident. Okay, so I just got home and I'm really glad I went to that second Half Price Books because it was so nice and they had so much that I really wanted. And I ended up getting a book that I saw at the first Half Price Books and I almost got, but I just felt like the price wasn't right. That was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. They had this exact copy at the first Half Price Books I went to, but it was $11. And this one was only $7.98. So I'm glad I waited. I've really been wanting to read this. It is basically a bunch of short stories that Neil Gaiman wrote, all inspired by Norse mythology, and I've been trying to get more into Norse mythology. I'm still like a novice beginner. I know like the basic gods and myths and whatnot. So I'm excited to read this and I really love Neil Gaiman. I also picked up this bind up for the Dream Blood duology by N.K. Jemisin. This has the two books in that duology, which are The Killing Moon and The Shadowed Sun. I did initially want the two books individually, but I couldn't pass up the price. This was only $5, and if you don't know, N.K. Jemisin is like one of my favorite authors. She wrote my favorite book, The Fifth Season. I really don't know much about this duology. The back says, assassin priests, mad kings, the goddess of death, who can end the destruction. I really don't care what it's about. I'm gonna read it anyways because I think that she's an incredible writer and I will read everything that she's written. And then the last book I got was The Deal of the Day. I found Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson, which is the third and final book in the Remnant Chronicles, and this was $3. I was so shocked when I found this for so cheap because they had another copy that was exactly the same as this, but it was $10. And I have no idea why this one was marked down to $3 because there's nothing wrong with it. So it was just my lucky day. I read the first 2 books in the Remnant Chronicles. Actually, I don't know if I ever finished the second one, but I've really been wanting to finish this trilogy because there is a spin-off series that is coming out soon and it sounds really good. So I want to finish up this trilogy. I definitely need to reread The Kiss of Deception and Heart of Betrayal before I go into this beast. And those were the 3 books that I got. I'm super excited. I'm glad I waited and didn't buy things that I saw at the first couple stores that I went to. So I just filmed a bunch of videos and I neglected Loki for a really long time and he's like a baby. He just wants to be held all the time. So I'm gonna quickly just update you guys and let you know that I finished Renegades by Marissa Meyer and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 to 5 stars. It was just a really fun superhero book and I can't wait for the next one. Okay, I'm gonna go cuddle him before he really freaks out. Say hello, Loki. Hello. No. Are you upset? I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna go now. Good morning. So I just woke up and I was up almost all night because I read a book in one sitting and I stayed up until I finished it. And it was called The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang and it was so cute. It's a romance book about a girl who has Asperger's. She struggles with relationships, romantic relationships. She struggles with intimacy and being physical with people. So she hires a male escort to help teach her how to be intimate and physical and be in a relationship. And it was one of the cutest romances I have ever read. And I loved this so much. It really reminded me of how much I loved The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which is one of my favorite romances. I just really loved it. There was a lot of diversity. Obviously, like I said, the main character has Asperger's and then the male love interest is Vietnamese. And I also really loved there was a lot of consent, which if you guys watch my channel, you know that for me to enjoy a romance, there has to be spoken consent for me to be okay with a romance. So I was happy to see there was a lot of consent in this book. Also, I really liked how there was no real stigma against sex workers. Since the love interest is an escort, I really liked how the main character never treated him any differently or never looked down on him because of his line of work, which I enjoyed that. So yeah, I ended up giving it 5 stars, which is really rare for me to give romance books 5 stars, but I honestly just thought there was nothing wrong with it. It was pretty perfect, and I am really looking forward to anything else that this author has written. Right now, I need to go get coffee because I'm so tired. Also, oh my god, look how cute Loki is. Aww, you're just the cutest little bean. Look at him. Okay, so let's chat. I have finished 3 books since I last updated you guys. Let me pull up my Goodreads. 2 of the books I really liked. One of them was A Major Giant Disappointment. So, I don't know if I ever even told you what I was reading. I kind of just like fell off vlogging the past 2 days. Okay, so no, let's start with the ones I liked. We'll get to the one I didn't like. Let's start with the ones I liked. So I read Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. As I mentioned in a previous clip, this is a bunch of short stories about Norse mythology. I really loved this. Oh my god, Neil Gaiman is amazing. It just blows my mind the amount of variety in the things that he writes. I honestly feel like there's nothing that he can't write. And yeah, this was great. I listened to it on audio. Like I mentioned, I'm not super well versed in Norse mythology, so my knowledge of Norse mythology is solely contained in what I've learned from Marvel. A lot of this, I was being exposed to new stories, and I'm sure that if you are someone who knows a lot about Norse mythology, I don't think this is going to be anything new for you. The stories were very, I don't want to say basic because that's not the right word. They were very simple. This really felt like a good introductory piece into Norse mythology, and Neil Gaiman is just an incredible writer, so it was very nice. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I listened to it on audio, and he narrates all of his audiobooks, and he does a fantastic job. And so the other book I read that I liked was called Wrong to Need You. Oh my god, every time I talk about this series, I get all the titles wrong. I keep calling this Hate to Need You, but it's called Wrong to Need You. And then I kept calling the first book Hate to Love You, but it's called Hate to Want You. And then the third book the third book is called Hurts to Love You. I keep just like mixing up all of the titles. They're hard to keep straight, okay? But this one was the second book, and it's Wrong to Need You. Wrong to Need You. There we go. And it was great. I don't think I loved it as much as the first book because this book felt more like there was a lot of build-up. Like 80% into the book we're still getting build up to their romance. And then I felt like it just kind of resolved very quickly. And then it was like, okay, we're done. But I still really loved it. I just think Alicia Ray is amazing. Oh, this is by Alicia Ray, if I didn't already mention that. I'm just like, what? All over the place. It's 3 a.m. right now, and I've been editing videos for a really long time. Forgive me. But yeah, this was really great. The main character is bisexual and Muslim, and the love interest is Asian, and he has some sort of social anxiety. I don't know if he would call it social anxiety, but he definitely has trouble with strangers and large groups of people, and it was amazing. It was kind of like a friends to lovers trope. The main character and the guy were best friends as children, but he was always in love with her and she never knew, and then she ended up falling in love with his older brother and they got married, and then her husband died and she hasn't seen the brother in like 10 years because he was avoiding contacting her because he was in love with his brother's wife and he didn't want to be in that situation. And so finally in this book he's back in town and they reconnect, and it's great. It was really good. And I think I gave this 4 stars also. Okay. Now, on to the book I didn't like. So it's Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. This is a YA fantasy about a girl who is a princess, and when she was a child her kingdom was overthrown and her mother was killed right in front of her, and she was kind of taken captive by the people who took over the kingdom. And so for the past like 10 years she's basically been living as a prisoner in her own palace under the rule of this new dude. He's basically used her to keep her people in line. Anytime they revolt or try to get out of their slavery, he publicly beats the princess so that they stop. So she's been putting up with this for 10 years, and then at the beginning of this book something happens that kind of lights a fire within her to plan a revolution and try to take over and get revenge. Okay, so that's what it's about. I was super excited about this book because a lot of the early reviews that were coming out were saying that it reminded them of Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones, who's my all-time favorite character. I say this all the freaking time. I love Sansa. So if you tell me that this book or something reminds you of Sansa, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna have really high expectations. Maybe that was my own fault going into this, but it was bad. This book was just bad, okay? I mean, it wasn't, okay, maybe I'm over-exaggerating. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. My biggest issue with this book is that I have read it before. Not just like I've read books that are similar. No. I've read this book before, and it is called Ruined by Amy Tintera, and it is exactly the same.
I'm just like you. I think that's true. You're just like me. Yes, I can see.
The only difference is that in Ruined, the princess was never taken captive, so she was living kind of as an outlaw until she decided to get revenge, and then in this one, she was living as a prisoner until she decided to get revenge. But from that point forward, they're the same book. And so the whole time I was reading it, I was really just like side-eyeing the author a little bit. I don't want to accuse plagiarism or anything, but they were very similar. I'll just leave it at that. They were really similar. Another problem I had was that the romance played a really big part in this book, and it was so bland. She had 2 love interests. One of them is her childhood best friend who poses as her guard, because we've never heard of that before. And the other one is the prince. but he's not a prince. This is a side tangent. We'll come back to this romance point. He's not a prince, no, because this is a fantasy book, so he can't be called a prince. He was a prinz. A prinz. P-R-I-N-Z. Prinz. That is like such a big pet peeve of mine when authors write fantasy books and they just change normal words a tiny bit to make them fantasy. Like, he could have just been a prince, okay? She's a princess. Why is he not a prince? She's not a princess. She's a princess. So he should be a prince. That just really annoyed me. The main character almost always referred to him as the prince. So it came up a lot, and every single time I got more and more annoyed. Okay, but back to the romance. It was so bland. I cannot tell you any characteristics of the guard or the prince other than they're men. That's kind of all I know about them. They were cardboard cutouts of literally every YA fantasy love interest ever. I liked the main character, but not enough to keep reading this series. I gave it 2.5 stars, which kind of seems high for how much I'm bashing it. But I mean, I finished the book, so it wasn't that bad. I mean, I don't know. It was just not good. It wasn't good. And I'm sad, because I was really anticipating this book. That's what I get for trying to find my baby Sansa in another book. I shouldn't even try. There's only one. I think that's where we're gonna end this vlog. I have started 2 new books, but you're gonna have to wait to see what they are in my next vlog. I wish that I played the ukulele so I could do a cool sign-off like Witty Novels, but I can't. So, bye.